Hi, this is part one of a tutorial of using Packet Tracer Activity Wizard to create self-marking exercises that students can use. The progress can be checked during the exercise configuration so they get feedback on what they're doing. So very first thing you want to do is create your initial network, or this will be actually what we call the answered network is the proper name for it. You want to have a completely working network. I've already configured one here very quickly. In my example, I've set up a server here. It's going to be a DNS server. It's connected on 10.10.10.0/24 network to a 2811 router. On the router, we have on the FA0/2 side, we have a 192.168.1.0/24 network. We have a layer 3 switch running. It's VLAN and 4 VLANs, VLAN 10, 20, 30, 99, called guest, student, faculty, management. Address is 172.16.10.0/24, 20.0/24, 30.0/24, 99.0/24. This one is a routed port on here, so I'm using FA0/24 as a routed port because this is all doing my inter-VLAN routing. And that. So I've got it basically tested, and I've got my routing default route set up. So this guy, default route for 172.16.0.0/16 goes over to this port. This guy says anything default route sends it over this way. So we don't have a really default route, a static route that points this way and a default that goes this way. Verify that this PC can ping all of the devices and this guy can ping everybody, so we have continuity through the network. So I'm pretty confident with the way this is. One of the things that before we go any further, it's very important the display names of the devices. So this one says server 2, router 0. I've changed this. It usually says multi-layer switch. Right, so I just changed the switch 1, server 1, printer 1, laptop 1, PC 1. Now why it's important is that when the activity wizard goes to check to see if the activity is done, this is how it identifies the device PC1. Normally what we're going to do is ask it to change the host name. If you change this to the host name and your answer network says it's PC1, it's going to come up as an error, a very common problem. So when we get part of the activity wizard is setting up instructions, what we'll do is we'll put explicit instructions there to say that you do not change the display name of the devices. Okay, so let's get in. I'm happy with this. I put some extra information in here, and I'll go to the activity wizard. So you go to extensions, activity wizard, and the very first thing is, do you want to use the current network as the answer network? The correct answer is yes. Alright, so now we've got our activity wizard open. I'll draw this down, and we have a welcome to the activity message. And what this is that we you can put in information, the author here. So the author in my case is E. Blanchard, right? And it works with HTML coding, so comments, and you can put comments. Tutorial 1 for activity wizard. So that just gives you an identification of who is the author and basically what the purpose is. What we want to do next is we want to go to the instructions. And in the instructions, you write them as an HTML code, right? So we can say bold instructions, right? This means that you have to know HTML, right? Very basic HTML code. What I suggest you do is you can get some online, or you can get separate. What you see is what you get, HTML code ones. What I'll do is I'll find one posted up here, and then in the instructions you can mark down what the students will see. So I'll put a break, and now we'll And normally what I do is cut and paste it. So what I'll do is I'll go away, cut and paste instructions, and come back. Alright, so what I've done is I've created Activity Wizard instructions with an image and network address topology, and then you have further instructions here. So one of the things that I've done is you can either edit in HTML, which is quite laborious, you have to know it, or you can go to an online editor like this one here. Right? So this online editor, I could basically, what you see is what you get, and then it creates the HTML, and I just copy this over in there. So it takes all the guesswork out of doing this. Now the image here, Packet Tracer used to be able to put an image in the same folder as your Packet Tracer assignment. It would pick it up. It doesn't seem to work anymore. You're going to find out that Packet Tracer gets broken down quite a bit. So what I did is I said image source. I uploaded to my website a topology diagram, and I just made a link in here. So when I created it, I said just link to the website, and it works quite well. So when I import it into Packet Tracer, let's go back to Packet Tracer. Here we are. What I have is image source is my website, cadvision.com /as topology1.jpg, and it previews it and picks it up fine. So now we got the instructions done. We have a answer network. Here's our answer network, right? So the answer network, the first thing you have is this section here. We'll just open this up, and this is all the different devices and what we can select. And what you can actually do is show the answer network. Here's our answer network. We can go back to the Activity Wizard here. I just had to drop down because there'd be two screens. One screen shows our regular Packet Tracer, and this shows up as a separate screen down on the Windows taskbar. And I've opened this up so I can start looking, and I can start checking and saying this is what I want the students to check. So on the laptop, accessories, Bluetooth, don't care about Bluetooth. Let's see what we got. We want the default gateway, so I'm going to check that. Anything with the green is things that we should be able to check. We want the DNS server to be set with IP version 4. Let's go down to our ports. We'll take a look at our fast Ethernet port, and I want the IP address set. Anything else I want? Now, you can do connectivity test here or up here. We're going to go down to the assessment tree, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to link to the switch, and I want to connect to fast Ethernet 0/2. So basically in our instructions we'd say that this device, which is laptop 1, has to be connected to the fast Ethernet port 2 of switch 1, right? And we'll go down here, and subnet mask, right? So now what happens, this becomes part of our assessment. PC1. In the old days, if you closed this down, it would erase and that. I've been doing this for probably over 10 years. And that. So PC1, same story. Bluetooth, not interested in Bluetooth, but I'm interested in the default gateway. I'm interested in the DNS server again. We want to look at our ports. Fast Ethernet. Just go down. IP address is set. Subnet mask. I think I got everything there. You can always come back and add them when we go check it. So one of the last things we do is we start checking. There's a power distribution device. No idea what that is. We'll go to our printer, default gateway, DNS server. We look at our ports. Oops, don't want to click that. That'll fast Ethernet. Again, our IP address and subnet mask. We'll go to router 0. Some of the things we want is we can check the banners. Don't put the banners in. They never work. I've never got them to work ever. Just go down, keep going down. What do you have here? We can put passwords on, enable a password, and that's always a good idea to have passwords on things. Here we go, ports. So look at my fast Ethernet 0. Click down, IP address. Should be a subnet mask in here someplace. I must have missed it. Here he is, subnet mask. And we want it to be connected to link to server. And the type is a type of cabling. So on this one we want to have the cable type because we used a crossover cable. And we go to Fast Ethernet 1. Same story, we check our IP addresses, get our subnet mask, and so on. We just keep going down, checking all of this stuff here. IP address, we want the link to switch 1. Our cable type is straight through. Might as well click that too. What the heck? Subnet mask. Now each one of these checks is a mark for the students. When they get assessed, they will get a mark when this is done right. And it'll also indicate that it's not complete if all of these stages aren't done. We'll go to server 2. We have our default gateway. Looking for the ports. Here we go. Here's the ports. Fast Ethernet 0. IP address. Want to link to our router. Subnet mask. Switch 1. We're going through. Okay, switch 1. Where's the IP address? Go to ports. Here we go. VLAN 1. I don't have anything set up on that. That's interesting. Oh, sorry. VLAN 10 is what we had set up. We're not using VLAN 1. Subnet mask. VLAN 10. Also, the VLANs have names, so one of the things we should check is that the name is set right. It's under the VLAN section, not under this one. So there's another section on switches for VLANs, and that will give you your names. Right, so we see that once the answer network is made, it's actually quite good. So if I go down to VLANs, here we go. We want to make sure that we have VLAN 10, VLAN 20, VLAN 30, VLAN 40. Always, or 99, sorry. So basically always expand them, because what you'll see is sometimes there'll be things there that you don't expect. You can also set up your VTY lines on here, right? So if you go you can say VT line 0, and then you can say if it's logging sync, if it's set, if there's a login enabled. If there's a password set, you can have that in here also. So let's go back here. I've already indicated on all the other devices what the connection is, so I don't have to connect it at the switch also. That would just be 2 marks for the same thing. On my ports here, which one is this one? Yeah, I got my default gateway. I'm just checking to see if I've got everything. So one of the things you want to go through is double check. I was thinking that I have my DNS server default gateway for server 1. Double check here. ends up there's quite a lot of things that you can select. IP address. I don't see a default gateway in here. Interesting. What is that one? Okay, so we've got a lot. Oh, that's on the router, that's why. So if I go back on the printer, yeah, I've got it here. Okay, so it looks like I'm pretty good. All right. So what we've done is we've set up the instructions, we set up the answer network and what we want to assess. Now we'll go to the initial network and I will copy from the answer network, right? So boom, it's done. So this is the initial network. It says initial network over here, so I'll just pull this over. And now what we can do is start deleting things. So I got my delete here, boom, that's gone, that's gone. All right, so now I can go in and we're going to start just resetting everything. Delete. And do a reload. All right, so it's reloading. Lower this down, do the same thing here. So now we have a nice clean system on all of these guys. I always go DHCP then static back again to make sure that it doesn't retain. Sometimes I found that in previous versions you would go DHCP and you go back to static and it has the static information in. Let's see, we're on a printer, so I got to go config. Get rid of that. Fast Ethernet. Get rid of that. We're done. And the same with the server. I think I still got another server to do. I'll double check that over here. Nope, we're good. So basically I have my initial network, so I can go back to the activity with initial network is set. Password, you want to put a password in here. We'll put a good password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just because this is a demonstration. Normally I use stronger passwords, but I'm not going to, and I'll enable the password. It's done. We can test the activity and check the activity to see how it works, so we'll test it. All right, so this is what it looks like. I'll just scroll here. I'm not too sure what the difference between test and check is. Right, so here's my instructions. Come down here. And one of the things is you can't print from here. Let's see if they've changed it. Nope, can't print. But what you can do is you can copy and paste it into Word and it comes out exactly like this, right? So then you can copy and paste and get a hard copy. That's one of the deficiencies I found with Packet Tracer. So here's the network that we want. Here's the one that we started with. I can go and check the results under assessments, and it says I've done 0 out of 41. And so over here it says the laptop, I haven't set the default gateway DNS, and every time there's an X, that's something the student has to do, right? So when you open up this, it covers all of the packet tracers. So I'm just going to close it down, minimize that, and what I'll do is in my switch, go to the command line, hit enter, enable, config T, VLAN 10, name guest, case sensitive, VLAN 20, name student, again it's case sensitive, so the capitals on each one of these, VLAN 30, name faculty, VLAN 99, name management. All right, so I'll close that down and go back to my PT activity, check my results, assessment items. I've done 4 out of it. So I've looked down here under my switch. I've got the VLAN 10, 20, 30, 99 is named. So that's a really fast way of doing simple activity wizard. Right. Part 2, we'll talk about using variables, and variables are used so that, like, typically in this one, if you give this out to students, they're going to pass it around. Everyone is going to have the same configuration, same answers, and pop it in. It's going to be a lot of cheating going on. The variable wizard or variable manager allows you to put variables in, and that's what part 2 will talk about. Thank you.